Hey everybody. So I don't usually do these kind of videos where I'm in front of the camera kind of thing. And when I say I don't normally, I mean I never have before. But I really want to touch base on the comment section of my last video. Daybreak Games versus the hero's journey. And the reason I want to touch base on it is because I am seeing so much support. And in the same sense, I'm also noticing, you can tell the ones that have never played the hero's journey commenting in these videos that are hating on the fact that there is emulation at all. I mean, they're diehard live EverQuest fans, and I've got a theory on that as well. But just real quick, I'm going to minimize this so we can kind of go over what I'm talking about, because this has been crazy for me. One, I'm a very small channel. I've never had 147 comments on anything. It's been crazy, like just reading through, trying to answer and things like that. I absolutely love it. I love that there's so much passion for THJ. It's amazing. It makes me really feel confident that when THJ walks out of this lawsuit, that it's going to live on forever. I really do think with this kind of a fan base, the server itself will be everlasting if they can get past this. But let's go in here. Let's see if I can't minimize this and kind of take a look at some of these crazy comments. So first thing we're going to do is kind of go through over here. You can see my suggested over here. There's another one, EQ versus popular server shut down, lawsuit, blah, 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 blah. But the first one we're going to talk about, I completely agree with this. I say Daybreak, hire them and make the next TLP. But selfishly, I'm like, no, because that's a year from now at least. I want to play THJ now. So selfishly, I'm like, man, no, I don't want anywhere near these guys' creativity to be broken by Daybreak. But in the same sense, it would be really cool to see these guys rewarded with some, really high paying, developer job to be able to make the next TLP something that we all want to play. But that one, completely agree. Selfishly, I'm like, no, don't do it, guys. If you do, negotiate a huge salary, whatever happens, I'm done giving Daybreak any more of my money. Can you guys hear that and know that this is echo chambering through this entire comment section? I am done giving Daybreak any more of my money. What this means to me is that there are a lot of players out there that are still playing live that are scratching the itch for THJ just to go ahead and get, if you play live, there's a good chance you're never going to be able to solo a lot of the content on the newer expansions, at least. Now, granted, on live, you're level 150 or whatever it is now, 125 or whatever. You can go back and kill Nagathon just as easy as you can on THJ. Probably easier, actually. They probably hit for like 1 billion or whatever. But there are so many people that looks like they actually are paying for a live EverQuest that are not going to anymore. Not at all. Not at all. So give me 1 second. Little dude is tearing up my shoes. So another one, Daybreak just lost my subs forever. That's 2 in a row. Never again will they get a dime from me. Many people have paid them enormous amounts of money over the decades. THJ is actually doing the innovating we paid Daybreak to do, but didn't. Never again. May Daybreak rot. I mean, that's a pretty strong worded comment there. There's a lot of these through these comments. I'm not going to read all 147, obviously. But what I will say is, it really is a shame. THJ is the most fun I've ever had on any form of EverQuest. Accomplished more on THJ within a month than I ever did in decades of trying to play live EQ, TLPs, P99, etc. I think if THJ loses and is brought down, I'm officially retiring from the world of Norath altogether. Fortunately, I got my bucket list completed on THJ, Vox, Nagy, kills, etc. That's sad to hear. That really is sad to hear. We all know the nostalgia trip EverQuest brings us, and that's why we used to go back to live every couple of years or every year, every 6 months, whatever it may be. So the fact that these people are saying they're going to give up on a childhood game that we all grew up on, that hurts me. It really does, because I mean, I know that I've 2 games I've gone back to consistently over the years, and that is EverQuest and Ultima Online. Both of those games I grew up on. Both of those games hold a very dear piece to me in my heart for old school gaming. And I don't think that I'll ever be able to find a game that really kind of meets every single thing that these games provided, because these new games, they spend too much time, effort, and money on being flashy than they do, you know, actually having a real world to live in, which is, I feel like, what UO and EverQuest brought us. But that be as it may. I support THJ, Kata, Aporia, and their crew have done an impressive job, while Daybreak has failed at every opportunity. Again, failed at every opportunity. I wouldn't go as far as to say that. I thought that the Mischief TLP was pretty good. But I don't know if, I mean, honestly, I don't really know if that was Daybreak's thing, or maybe that was like a, you know, little group of people that did it, but I have no idea. But I did like Mischief. I liked that one. Ever since then, haven't got into it. So I will never give Daybreak a red cent after this. This is all because Daybreak fails, like always. Bad TLP servers and horrible rule sets, bad communication, and even worse customer support. It's just plain flat out jealousy that a few people could take the same source materials and do far better with way less manpower. And that is an understatement. Way less manpower is crazy. Two guys that work full-time jobs that do this on the side are absolutely killing this. Absolutely killing this. Now, when I say two guys, if you're helping out with this, whatever else is, I'm not trying to take away from your clout or whatever. I don't know all of the guys behind the scenes at THJ, but I do know that, you know, obviously Kata and Aporia are the big ones. But if Daybreak was smart, they would just require all emus to connect via their paid monthly service. If the service is not owned and run by Daybreak, half the monthly service rate goes to the group maintaining the server. I will. Okay, so here's the thing about that. I don't know that THJ would have the population that they have if it wasn't free. Do I think they'd have a huge population? Absolutely. Absolutely. Would they have the same population if it wasn't free? I don't know. I'll also say that on these free servers that just require, you know, nothing, you know, financial from the players, when it comes down to a player being unsatisfied with, you know, something that's not going their way, whatever else it is, I feel like they don't get to scream as loud in the Discord, because it's like, hey, dude, it's a free server. Like, if you don't like it, there's 1,000 other ones. Go play there. I feel like when you start paying to go on there, you need to have like customer service lines and all kinds of other stuff, because if you're giving your money to a company, you expect to have that company work for you now. So I'm really glad actually that THJ doesn't work for the player base, because I am on the Discord and I honestly feel like some of the player base's suggestions would ruin the server. So I'm really glad that it is up to a couple of people that know that their vision is going to be what they want their server to be. Not that Daybreak listens to the players either. They've got their vision. It's just bad. But anyways, I don't know. I feel like any way you can get Daybreak to back off, good idea, you know, but I don't know that. I feel like if you were negotiating, that would be the last thing I would fall back on is a monthly paid service, especially wanting Daybreak to get paid off your hard work whenever they're sitting back doing absolutely nothing, inheriting the source code that you're using. But I know for a fact that there are other EQ emus that offer server currency for donations. THJ is just the most populated. If they take down the team that is trying to recreate Vanguard, I will lose my mind. I have been donating monthly for years without receiving server currency. I love what EQ and Vanguard used to be. Daybreak Games are just talentless hacks. Have you noticed that there's not a whole lot of support for Daybreak Games yet? Like I said, I'm not going to go through every single comment here, but I mean, we're kind of seeing a pattern. I'm not saying that Daybreak Games is looking through my comment section, but if you're watching this, dude, please do. You're going to lose a lot of your player base. If you do this, I feel like this is going to be a really bad faith move to a lot of your players that have supported a game for, 25 plus years, but that's just me. I don't know anything about Vanguard. I mean, I guess I kind of feel uneducated at this point. I have no idea. That's something I need to look up, but I mean, I guess I'll do that at a later time. I quit EQ ages ago. Loved the game, but it took too much time and money to play. I love THJ because I can get on, play an hour, and actually accomplish something. I've donated because I wanted to support the THJ devs, not because I was pressured into it. I have never once seen them ask for donations. I've been on several Ultima Online servers, several other EverQuest emulated servers, where they're pushing out all the time. It seems like there's an announcement, big sale on this in-game currency, donate now, blah, 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 blah. And I've never seen that once at the Hero's Journey. I know they bring out different things you can utilize your in-game currency for, But I feel like if you've got any amount of characters and you're grinding AAs on those characters, I've gotten hundreds of the echoes or whatever they're called. But I mean, I have donated as well. I just have, not to get the little echo things. I think I blew them all in the casino. I don't care about that stuff. But I just wanted to support the server. The way I look at it most of the time is if I'm going to be paying $17 after tax to play a live server, a TLP, or whatever else it is, and I'm having more fun over here on this one, why not give them $20 a month? Whatever. I don't know if I'm the few in between. I know there are the whales out there that are going to give them $10,000 a day or whatever. I don't know. I don't know if that's even what happens. I know that I've heard of whales out there. I've never met one myself. But I mean, I've always done that. But again, I do know that are a lot of people. Now, granted, this guy said he donated, I don't know how many times, but, if he doesn't have that much time to play, he may not, see donating $20 a month. He may see donating $5 or whatever it may be. But, I mean, you're going to see another player here that is probably going to never go back to a Daybreak game because of what's going on. Daybreak will now lose more players from the bad press than if they had just left well enough alone. Now, this is another one that's echoing through the comments, and I'm not necessarily sure that this isn't going to be extremely accurate. If you go on the main EverQuest Discord, you're going to see a lot of different opinions. I feel like there are a lot of people that play THJ over on the main Discord, the EverQuest, the official Discord, and you've seen, I've been over to the Quorum Discord. They shut down out of, I guess, like a safety thing, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. There's some players that have played live EverQuest for years and years and years. They've got multiple characters with all of the bags, with all of the expansions. You've got thousands of dollars tied up in this game. So, of course, you're going to be, oh my gosh, I've got a Jeep sitting outside that I absolutely hate. But you can't talk bad about it because I've spent thousands of dollars replacing pieces of it. So it's like, I can call it bad because it's mine, but I don't want anybody else coming by and be like, whatever. It's like, dude, no, I spent a whole bunch of money on this. I don't want you to talk bad about it. And I think that's where it's coming from. I think that you've spent thousands and thousands of dollars into this. You feel like you are now financially connected to this thing like it's a child, and it's like at that point, whenever somebody's hurting your kid by taking players away, taking money away, it's like, I'm going to stand up for Daybreak Games. And not because Daybreak Games is good, but because you've invested thousands and thousands of dollars into it. So, the last thing that you want to hear is that your investment may now go unwarranted if Daybreak Games has to shut down. And they're thinking like the worst case scenario. Daybreak Games can't afford to keep EverQuest alive if people like THJ, keep doing it. So, I get it. They're fear mongering a bit, but I think it's the same reason Quorum shut down. It's like, oh man, I feel like I'm going to get sued into oblivion. And it's like, yeah, probably not. I honestly don't feel like this is going to be as big as everyone says it is, but we'll have to see. Daybreak is ironically named as they are nothing but vampires feeding on emotionally unstable whales. Okay. So that one's pretty deep, but we'll leave that one alone. Time to spend money on THJ purely to help them with this nonsense. I'm seeing a lot of this, not as much, but I'm seeing a lot of this. I, for one, would absolutely be 100% on board with, instead of spending a dime in donations until this is over, opening up a GoFundMe for them to fight with their legal defense, and just give them as much as I can. I'm not going to be like hundreds of dollars here and there. I don't know. I'm not that guy. But if I'm going to spend $20, $30 a month to support them, then I'll do that. If they got 4,000 players doing the same thing, that's a lot of money going towards a GoFundMe to help them with their defenses. But THJ for life. The devs are the best at keeping the greatest game ever made still alive. Now, that is a big part right here. Made still alive. The live servers are obviously alive. They're there, but the player base is dwindling. Everyone is at the end game. There's no low level groups. If there is low levels, they're being power leveled. And it's been like a year since I played the live servers, like I said before. But it was pretty rampant with chrono farmers, real money trading, getting tales all the time about getting extra platinum and chronos for cheap. If Daybreak sells them for $19, this little tell will send you to a website that will sell them for $12.99 or something, so you can get more for less, blah blah blah. Not just these, but have these moron companies not realized that private servers for older games bring in new players who may try to pay servers. EA learned this with UO and now works with the private server community. Daybreak signed their end with this. Another good point. Never heard of EverQuest. I'll try it for free without the limitations of EverQuest free on, the live servers, because you can't even get like more than 1,000 AAs. You can't do any of that stuff or wear like good gear. So instead of, coming over, trying it out and being like, hey, you know what, I want to, scratch the itch of playing live. Not anymore. Nope. EQIP is a gotcha money slot pooling mechanism. Quite sad when we see so much innovation and dedication from peeps who care about the game. So, I don't know what they mean by that. Like live EQ is definitely a money pool, because obviously they've got a tremendous amount of mounts you can buy. They've got all the chronos. Chronos destroy the actual economy. So at that point, you've got immensely expensive things in the bazaar that you literally, unless you're in game, you have to pretty much buy a chrono to buy them. So kind of a weird thing. So on top of, spending the monthly service fee, you're now buying chronos for the same price and over. WoW does the same thing with, I don't remember what it's called, but they have another, little thing you can sell for currency. Not a good look, Daybreak. Yep, I agree with that. Good job. Good comment. It's actually hard to find where to donate. I had no idea you could donate for EOM for like 2 weeks. Agreed. Absolutely agreed. If you go to their Discord now, you can find where to donate on there. But when I first started, I didn't think they took donations. I really didn't. I thought the EOMs were just found in game and used for like world buffs. So I had no idea you could even get EOMs for a while. I don't know that it was 2 weeks, but I didn't know that you could even get them like by doing donations. Why shouldn't it be public? Should not be scared. Okay, so this is talking about how they try to seal the documents and things like that. So. And I agree. I think that there's nothing to hide. They need to use Ultima Online as an example. The precedent was set years ago for Ultima Online, and EA Broadsword cannot sue private servers anymore. It is to the point the EA now works with the private server community to help them make their servers better. Also, P99 was given a pass, which means by law they have to consider everyone for a pass. Secondly, Daybreak needs to reel in their lawyers. They are going mad trying to get money off of this. Daybreak needs to realize that they are destroying their future. People will vote with their wallets. All those people who did not play their last expansion on EQ1 will never play a Daybreak game again. Their future is done. So this is an interesting thing here. So the P99 given a pass, I feel like they went into an actual, like I think that there's some law around that. Like they went into an actual agreement. I don't know if that necessarily means that everyone else can get the same agreement. I have no idea. The P99, the way they run that server is tremendously different than how THJ runs their server. So there could be something there. There could not be something there at all. I have no idea. As far as reeling in lawyers and things like that, I feel like people have the mindset that Daybreak is sitting around in a room right now, which is upper management saying, we're going to be suing THJ into oblivion. And I don't feel like that's it probably goes up to like a board of directors, and they look at their stock prices and they look at everything else and they say, hey, how can we do this? And some little weasel says, hey, well, you know what? There's this one server that's really, really awesome. And these guys are, I feel like they're siphoning a large, supports group off of our stuff. And then they say, hey, shut them down, and then at that point, they have to, the company has to. You can't go up to the board of directors and say, I don't think I want to do that. So I don't necessarily think, the people over at Daybreak, honestly, the innovators, the people that create these TLPs, things like that, they're probably sitting back going, damn, these guys over at THJ are pretty awesome. But again, somewhere up the flagpole there, someone said, hey, let's shut it down. So I don't know. Realistically, there are a lot of people over at Daybreak that probably absolutely have either played the hero's journey or do support it, but I also understand, obviously, the company-wide, you definitely don't want to support that company. Fully support THJ. Tried to come back to EQ a few years back and saw that I couldn't even use half the gear I had unless I paid. What a money grab. So this is another thing I noticed is when I came back to EverQuest. Now, granted, I paid the monthly thing because it looked like I had to if I wanted to use any of my gear. Was that and AAs? I had a whole bunch more A's. I could only use like 1,000. So yeah, you could come back to your free character, but your free character is absolutely gimped, 100% gimped. So you really have to pay if you want to play that. So it says free to play model, and I guess that's true if you want to like hang out and Castle Miss more or whatever. But other than that, if you want to do any kind of like even content, it's not free. 100% not free. I wouldn't be surprised to see fair use argued based on the precedent that goes back to a couple decades with Project EQ, shards, and P99. And again, I'm no lawyer. I have no idea. I know that every server is going to be different. P99 is different. Project EQ is different. Shards of Dali is different. So I'm not sure if that's going to be something. I mean, all these servers are vastly different from each other. So I'll have to see there. So if the server isn't in America, can't they skirt the laws? Based on the ping that I have on this server whenever I play, I'm going to go ahead and say that it is based in America. Can't be 100% sure on that. I'm not going to go too deep into trying to find that out. I have no idea. I'm sure if you asked, they would tell you in the Discord. But yeah, I would go based off just by ping alone. It's definitely America. Daybreak Games is butthurt because they didn't do it first. THJ is awesome, and Daybreak Games EQ isn't. I will never go back to Daybreak Games. I hope there are lawyers playing THJ and will do it for free. Yeah, it's not going to be free. It looks like there's a pretty high profile lawyer on it though. So I mean, honestly, at this point, I feel like they've got some pretty good legal representation. I don't know that they're going to have to, reach out to the player base for that. But realistically, they haven't reached out for donations. It makes sense they wouldn't reach out for any help with this either. So I've been playing on Quorum for the past month and was playing yesterday when the server suddenly went down, and I jumped on Discord to find out what's happening. I hope Daybreak would consider an official classic server without progression through additional expansions to fill this niche. So technically, they've tried this with additional quality of life things. That's kind of what most of these older TLPs were. Now, granted, they've got that quote unquote quality of life features. They've got the chronos. They've got the chrono farmers. They've got, yeah. I guess realistically, it's pretty far away from a classic server. WoW came out with that. I don't know why EverQuest hasn't. From my understanding, the WoW classic servers are very popular, but not sure 100%. I know that there's still a lot of World of Warcraft emulated servers trying to do something that's more quote unquote classic. So it couldn't be that good, the classic servers. If their latest TLP server did well and had their usually influx of players that their other servers has, then this wouldn't happen. But I'm sure it wasn't as huge of a turnout on that server. They are placing blame on THJ for this and not taking responsibility for what they put out. The new server sucks. The rule set sucks. Everything about it sucks. It was dead on arrival. It really was. It was absolutely dead on arrival. And I think there's two servers. I didn't even hear the name of the second one. So all I heard was Fangbreaker, and then I guess there's another server that opened up at the same time that was even worse that no one played. So I mean, realistically, it literally has the population of Red 99, which is also just absolutely atrocious. I have no idea why they keep that server up, but I don't know. Again, all of this is crazy, absolutely crazy. These comments. I mean, if you're reading this stuff, Daybreak, this should be a no-brainer. Should be a no-brainer. I know that at this point, you've already postured. How do you back off? How do you back off without looking weak? I get that 100%. I don't know what you can do at this point other than just say, hey, let's come to some agreement to where I don't look like I just knee-jerk reaction into this, and I actually want to keep my company going with a player base. Their games are not mainline, in my opinion, enough to say I can lose player base, especially the kind of fans that EverQuest has garnished over the years. I'm not 100% sure you can get these fans back if you keep pushing this. Not these. You could try to get more fans with some kind of a marketing thing, but I know that takes a lot of money. EverQuest doesn't have what these new games have for the new gamers to want to go into them. They only care about graphics. They only care about flashy cinematics and things like that. EverQuest fills a niche that these new games just don't have, which is vibrant world, real world, feels alive. you don't have to go in and fight stuff for a whole day if you want to. You can go in and just craft. You can do that stuff. World of Warcraft feels a bit of that. But a lot of it is just when you find yourself only logging in to do your dailies and then you get right back off. That's where I'm like, I don't know. I'm hoping that everything works out. I really am hoping everything works out. I really hope that Daybreak steps back and says, hey, we are being kind of crazy. Let's take this to the board and let's just let them know that we've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands, probably thousands and thousands of comments that are stating that people are never going to come back to our company. We are going to lose the baseline game that we have, unless you call it Planet Siege or whatever it's called, another one. But I know that I won't. I will not be coming back to Daybreak Games. Now, I might consider it if they said, hey, we're going to be hiring, the staff of THJ, and it wasn't under some NDA or something that didn't let the player base know. I might come back. I might say, hey, you know what? I'm going to give good old Kata and Aporia, a chance here to see what they've got, see if their creativity is absolutely just hammered into the ground by Daybreak Games, or if they've got, open reins to be able to create something that we've all fell in love with, which is, the hero's journey. But these big companies, they stifle you so hard into what they feel like is going to be popular. And I can almost guarantee you that somewhere down the line, 3 months from now, if they hired both of those guys, they would probably be sitting in a boardroom somewhere saying, well, we need to do this because our charts say so. And you're going to hear Kata and Aporia say, well, you guys just literally tried to shut us down because of what we were doing was working. And they're going to say, no. We figured this out. We know what we're doing. Help us out or get out. And then THJ's gone, and I feel like they would just stifle any kind of creativity. Now, I'm not saying that they will do that. I'm just hoping that they don't, because I know that these people that make these decisions sit behind a desk. They don't even play games typically. All this kind of stuff. They let these developers that know what they're doing know what they need to do. And it's like, I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. I've known a couple of people that have worked on the development teams for several different games, and they typically get kind of stomped on and not heard, I guess you'd say. But anyways, that's all I wanted to say. I wanted you to see these comments, and again, 147 of them, and that's just on this one video. I've got my other video where I did like the top 5, and I'm getting a lot of the classic comments like, well, this didn't age well, because like a day later, they came out suing you. But I don't know. All in all, they're going to do what they're going to do. But at the end of the day, I hope that they make the right decision and kind of push towards letting THJ do their thing. Or the fair use thing comes into play and they drop all this because of what they did with P99 and, a couple of the other EQ EMU shards. But who knows if they're going to or not. Guys, keep watching. I will try my best to keep up with what's going on. This isn't going to be a quick process. So I really doubt I'm going to make a new video tomorrow telling you guys everything's going to be okay. But I will definitely keep, trying to keep everybody updated, looking up what I can, where I can. There's a couple different sites that you can pay for more updated information on these kind of court cases, things like that. So I'm going to be looking into those and kind of finding out whether or not that is something that is financially worth it to look that kind of stuff up. If not, I'll keep looking up what I can when it becomes public. But thank you guys for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.